swimming the forbidden zone. They were captured by the shrewdness of apes. But what the hell is the shrewdness of apes? And why is Taylor wearing a man frock and saying city looks like Fraggle Rock? Did the Chambers, did the Insulin, Mr. Spot? These are just the facts we try not to mock on. The minute of the apes. 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 Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the podcast where we break down every damn dirty minute of the Planet of the Apes movies. I'm your host Sean, and always joining me are my two co-hosts Todd and Richard. What's up, guys?
Not a lot, Sean.
Let's do it!
Yes. All right, you know, we have actually hit the halfway point through the movie now, Skipper.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Skipper. Does that mean I'm little buddy today?
There you go. We're halfway through it. And before we get started, we want to take a quick second and thank Pete and Alex, the Star Wars Minute guys, for inviting us to the family. We really appreciate it, guys. All right, we're going to start minute 56 with Taylor running through Albuquerque and ends with somebody yelling, "Get rid of that creature." And as of minute 56, we've got 2 living humans, 2 dead humans, a shrewdness of ape, and a gaggle of humanoids.
And I'm sorry, what was the name of the city again?
Albuquerque, not Albuquerque.
We haven't called it Albuquerque yet, have we?
Last minute I did.
Did you?
Yes.
I don't recall that, but it made me giggle as you were going through that, and I had to hold myself.
Supergirl actually made Bugs Bunny made a left turn to Albuquerque. Did you see that moment? That cracked me up. Sorry.
Really?
Totally random reference.
Yeah. As long as it's a reference that ties into Planet of the Apes,
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
I like when Taylor's running through the town and he runs up on some female chimp and she does a stereotypical, like she just saw a mouse.
Yes.
Clutch the pearls.
There's a lot of also, you get that they're not going to record the sound on set, but in that very moment, you could tell it was the sound guy going, "Hey, just get me B-23, which is a woman shrieking, ah!" Very, very put in, but...
So when our last minute, he basically had escaped. Mm-hmm. He climbs up a little bit of a rock piece. We see the jungle gym zoo prison thing that he was in. It was the exterior.
Yeah.
Then he kind of goes past that, and we're opening now as he's rounding the corner into
Main
the
Street?
city square, if you will. Right.
Which obviously we get right away. No humans are there because of the shrieking woman, but also the scampering people. I'm sorry, the scampering apes that immediate flee when he enters.
And I didn't notice any orangutans in any of those groups. It was all chimps and gorillas.
There was one in a later minute.
There was one in a later minute.
Yes. Well, he kind of rounds the corner, so it almost looked like there was some type of cut because he comes over the jungle gym and then suddenly he's rounding an ape, like almost house or building.
Right.
Encounters what looks like two apes, maybe an ape and a child, and she screams, making him kind of scurry even further away. The thing that kind of I noticed largely in all of these scenes is they use a lot of women screaming to kind of move and scare him along. Like I don't hear a lot of I don't hear male screams.
Oh my goodness, what is that?
I don't hear male screams, but I do hear a lot of women go, You
They absolutely do. And right away I noticed too that the construction of the scene, we had talked about in early minutes that Leon Shamroy, who was the cinematographer, used a lot of handheld cameras in the film, which at that time was unheard of. He uses a thing, and God, I can't remember what he called that piece of 2x4 that he slid down the mountain. They called it something like runaway cam or something like that. But I thought, did you notice how the shots are handheld, but they're always peering through something? So it's almost like you are one of the apes audience looking, trying to hide from me.
They were very much. It was almost like somebody's POV the entire time.
Yeah, and it at least adds to that moment. So often we're knocking the dated nature of lighting or the dated nature of dialogue, but in that, there's an immediacy to this moment that I don't think the film has had to this point. So it actually puts Taylor in a situation where, for once, I found myself feeling for him, the urgency that I'm being watched and I can't go anywhere. It was a very observational instead of from his point of view. So I thought that was an interesting choice from the director. And then plus we've also got Goldsmith just going nuts in the score at this point. So between female shrieks and piano runs, it's definitely telling us what we need to feel.
This town, has like the most lax security I've seen on anything. He easily escapes the building with one key that he never uses. And now he runs into a church that nobody pays attention to the back of the church at all through the see-through walls that he's sneaking around.
And so in that, there are a couple of things that I definitely want to touch in that, and I'm gonna jump ahead in my notes because you say that. I thought it was odd in that scene. So as you say, he's sneaking and no one sees him, but then the little baby gorilla, for no reason,
turns around.
He doesn't do a double take like, what was that? He just all of a sudden goes, huh?
Turns around and walks to the other side.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about when we get inside the building?
Yeah.
Yes.
We haven't moved to that part yet, right? We're still outside.
Well, and just because Sean went ahead and talked to he had said that.
Okay.
We jumped ahead and we did jump around.
I apologize. I found a script online that I printed out that's largely been correct in terms of the dialogue with a couple of changes here and there. But the minute we get into these next couple of minutes where there's action sequences, everything is kind of wonky in terms of what, and I don't know if it's because of the choreography of the movement or the battle sequences, but half the stuff that happens written down as action in the sequence doesn't happen or happens in different orders.
I would be interested. I looked this week saying that to see if they had a shooting script you could buy, because you'll find often a film with a shooting script you can buy and it'll show you the on-set rewrites by inserts. And I'd be very curious to see what they are, because you'll walk into this oftentimes you realize that the blocking of it doesn't work according to what's written.
Well, he rounds the corner. He comes across two apes. Yeah. There's a woman's cry. One of the apes screams. You then see him kind of dart to his left, our visual right.
Yeah.
He runs into another kind of a slightly more open area. There's about 5 more apes in there. 2 of them are walking together. 2 of them are off to the side. There's a little more of kind of that female moaning scream, a little bit, and that kind of forces him into what is now the church, the funeral parlor, whatever you want to, I guess church is what we call this. Interesting in the script, what they have at this moment is that there are 2 mounted police officers, and they gallop towards the camera, and that is what makes him retreat into the church, not fleeing from commotion out on the street as it is. And that then makes a little more sense to me why suddenly in the church a couple minutes later we see police kind of walking through.
True. Someone following him.
Correct. But I did not, rewatching that scene over, I played it back just to see if I could see those police, and I did not see any police.
It was just him running into there from running off of other gorillas.
I mean, the way it plays in the film, you kind of get the idea that he's gotten away, caused this commotion, and those gorillas might be coming from where he was imprisoned.
Probably,
hey, where was the disturbance, ma'am? And they're going that way.
Correct. But he then moves into this church, and we see him kind of. They've got this kind of almost theater in the round kind of thing where you've got the pastor at the front giving
which again as an orangutan, the pastor
as an orangutan last rites. You've got a small crowd assembled. Mm-hmm. You have Taylor walking on the outside of this circle of apes through a hallway. We see paintings. We see artwork.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that.
There's 2 gigantic murals on either side. And keeping in the color scheme of the movie, they're just red and green.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
They're red and green in their lines. They're kind of zigzag line, curled line. They almost look like nature, but they're done with geographic lines.
That's interesting.
This coming up in the next couple of minutes, including this one, is when I really begin to notice the specific use of certain colors throughout. In clothing, we've got the purple and the green,
and the orange.
We've got the orange. We're now incorporating red into the design of these murals. The apes sitting listening to the eulogy. Are sitting kind of on benches. They're kind of enclosed in a mix of stone and arched wood supports around them. I found it really, really kind of an interesting architectural style, because it's the first time we've seen something that wasn't
just the walls,
wasn't shaped like the Flintstones huts.
Well, I thought even in that same moment, the casket
is
a very unique approach to, here we have the very tubular box.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was taking the shape of the ape,
gorilla,
and it's beautiful. If you think about what it's supposed to be, carved from wood, it's a beautiful piece.
It was very Egyptian,
yes,
in its style. It was kind of fit the body shape.
So juxtaposing in these kind of things, it did lend into the moment something that's not been there before, which also then to hear the orangutan mention that he has found peace in heaven, that immediately hit me too. I thought, wait.
Are they scientists? Or are they?
Well, I also thought, we're now taking the conventions of the earth we know and putting it here now. And you could find a way as a screenwriter to say he's found eternal salvation sitting in the cloud. Yeah, in the afterlife of the clouds next to the Maker.
Or whatever.
Yeah, the next jungle. But I found it very interesting that they chose to use Christian.
It was very
Christian terminology. That's what I was going to say.
It was very interesting to be able to kind of pick up on what was happening. But you're really following Taylor's. He kind of sneaks around this. We see a ape police officer kind of come in. Taylor kind of ducks behind a little bit of a corner. The police officer, I guess, maybe realizing that the eulogy's going on, or that he doesn't. Taylor kind of exits the scene, giving Taylor more room to kind of come around the circle. And we're getting these glimpses. I mean, he says... he was a model for us all, a gorilla to remember, hunter, warrior, defender of the faith. So now we're bringing religion full into this idea. We're moving past a society of laws. I mean, we got a glimpse of it with Dr. Zaius, but now we're really seeing that they are a religious society.
It made me wonder, in Zaius's protection of the apes not knowing too much about the humans, if ape ascended from man, as they've already said here, did they also somewhere along the way, did they find these things from man and take that and go, oh, that must have been the truth at the time and bring it with them? And is he trying to protect that because have they changed?
Or is it developed independently in a parallel situation?
But would you continue to use terminology as he does, that heaven, I mean,
the fact that they literally are quoting Will Rogers in the next sentence, I never met an ape I didn't like.
I thought that was funny, too.
Are they trying to say that he's the ape Will Rogers? Are they saying that he learned that from the ape Will Rogers and they're quoting him?
Or maybe they found a really distorted picture of Will Rogers, thought he was an ape, and now he's their Jesus or something.
I want to know, are the caskets one size fit all, or is there like little baby caskets for whenever they don't make it?
I did like in the casket, you can almost see the muzzle of the ape, too. I thought, I want, whenever I get buried, to have the shape of my
face. Your face on there?
It's still...
You just want a sarcophagus, right?
Yes.
All right.
The casket is still made of wood, beautifully shaped wood. Outside of the guns and a few little things, syringes and things like that, we don't see a lot of metalwork happening. And normally that would have been made, with some type of... there was nothing ornate about it.
Right.
It was just beautifully shaped and crafted.
Right.
Go ahead.
I thought it was interesting that it was the priest/scientist gorilla that's the one that said, "Go get the creature." He's the one that's commanding everybody to get rid of it. What is his urgency to get rid of it? Has Zaius communicated anything of what he knows to everybody in that
could be
echelon of their society? Do they know more about Taylor than everybody else knows?
Or did they just look at a human like a rat? Wild. If you had a rat running through a funeral, you might be going, "Hey." So is that what he is?
Yeah, if we were sitting in church and a dog were to suddenly run in,
right?
And kind of alarm people, but it wouldn't be a dog. It'd have to be something a little more frightening than that. Chicken. Right. If a chicken were to walk in,
there you go.
The preacher probably would have said, "Get that creature." Somebody.
I have more comments on that.
Somebody chuck that chicken.
In the future minutes. Hey.
Oh.
Hey. So found peace in heaven. We have heaven. He was a model for us all. A gorilla to remember. Hunter, warrior, defender of the faith. I found this next part really interesting. Cherished husband, beloved father, generous master.
I thought
that too.
So do they have them as slaves?
Or do they have at some point were other chimps and ape slaves too?
Yeah, exactly. The hierarchy of the society, he's a master of what? We assume,
right?
We assume he means slavery.
Yeah.
Right? Generous master. Our interpretation, of course, is slavery. That's that's where we go to.
And that's obviously what they want us to touch on when we hear that.
But maybe their economic society is built on that, where the boss is the master and everybody that works for them is the servant or the serf.
True, but it is a very... they would have said with its generous boss, generous...
But what an interesting way, a very almost sleight of hand way to put in